man. Stephanie White, you are a joke.
Stephanie White forcing Caitlin Clark to learn a new system.
This is ridiculous.
It's a different group. While system might still be very similar, it's a different group.
Indiana Fever unfortunately hired a snake oil saleswoman.
Stephanie White is going to be exposed as a fraud as a coach.
That's not...
Something unbelievable just happened as Stephanie White finally said what everyone had been thinking, leaving the entire WNBA stunned. Before we get into it, hit the like button and subscribe if you're enjoying the coverage. Surprisingly, over 83% of people watching still haven't subscribed. It costs...
That's not good to hear.
You can't come in here and try to change Caitlin Clark, the person. They don't want Caitlin Clark to do Caitlin Clark.
Rising star Caitlin Clark, one of the most talked about rookies in league history, has now been said to be out of the system. This isn't a rumor or fan frustration. It was stated directly by the head coach.
White speaking about Caitlin Clark actually learning this new system. I mean, personally, I feel like she's forcing Caitlin.
Everything suddenly feels different now. From the day Clark was drafted, the vision seemed simple: build the team around her, give her freedom, and let her change the game her way. But that plan has now shifted. White is pushing her into a structured system, one that takes away
and into making her learn this new offense. Listen to what she had to say.
There's so many things that go into, and I'm talking about being happy personally. Like, I want her to be happy personally. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. It's a different group. While system might still be very similar, it's a different group, and things are happening quickly, and being able to mesh. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
The tempo, the freedom, it all seems to have disappeared, and with it, the Fever's identity is starting to fade. What Stephanie has just revealed isn't only shocking, it also raises serious questions about the system itself. Because if Caitlin Clark can't thrive inside it, then something is clearly not working. From the very beginning, Clark wasn't just a draft pick. She was supposed to be the foundation, the face, the player everything was built around.
Clark is the needle.
Caitlin Clark is the star. Everything else is wrapped around her, and everything else is revolving around her.
She's Rookie of the Year in the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark is the star player of the WNBA.
A generational talent who walked into the league with one clear message written in her game: build everything around her. Caitlin Clark, the #1 overall pick for the Indiana Fever, didn't just arrive as a rookie. She arrived as a system changer. From day one, the franchise pushed that image everywhere. Media tours, interviews, promos, all selling one idea: this offense would be fast, modern, and built for a player like her. But now, that entire promise feels different. Before the season even truly unfolded, fans were reminded of how loudly that vision was sold. The same media push that once painted a bright future is now being questioned. Because what was promised as a high-speed, electrifying style has slowly turned into something fans don't recognize anymore. And that shift has left everyone asking the same thing: what changed? Stephanie White's recent comments added more fuel to the fire. The message coming from the coaching side suggests that Clark is no longer the center of everything. Instead, she is being asked to adjust, slow down, and fit into a structure-first system. And that is where the debate begins. Because this is not just any player. This is the same athlete who broke records, filled arenas, and completely changed viewership numbers across the league. A guard who led her team in assists, controlled tempo at Iowa, and made every possession dangerous the moment the ball touched her hands. Now, that same player is being gradually pulled out of the very offense she was expected to lead, and fans are not ignoring it. Some are questioning the direction entirely, pointing out that the system looks rigid, slow, and far removed from the modern pace people expected. There is frustration growing around the idea. One voice didn't hold back at all, calling out the coaching approach and suggesting the team looks disconnected, almost like the system is working against the talent it was meant to support. The criticism is sharp, but it reflects a bigger concern: whether the offensive identity is actually helping or holding back its biggest star. The comparison to Iowa keeps coming up for a reason. Back then, Clark thrived in a system built on speed, spacing, quick decisions, and relentless pick-and-roll action. Her chemistry with Aaliyah Boston in flashes this season showed exactly what fans expected: fast reads, aggressive drives, and constant pressure on defenses. But those moments have felt inconsistent. Instead of a constant flow, The offense often slows down into half-court sets that don't match her rhythm. Possessions become more controlled, more structured, and less instinctive. And when that happens, the energy around the team seems to drop with it. Analysts have pointed out the same concern in different ways. Some argue it's like taking a player built for acceleration and forcing her to operate in first gear. The frustration is not just about results, but about fit. Because when Clark is allowed to push pace, attack downhill, and create in transition, the entire team looks different. The offense becomes sharper, quicker, and far more dangerous. But when that freedom disappears, everything tightens. Turnovers feel heavier, spacing looks tighter, and scoring runs dry up. Critics argue that the system is asking Clark to survive inside a structure that doesn't fully match her strengths. And that disconnect is what's driving most of the conversation. There is also growing tension in how roles are being distributed on the floor. At times, Clark is seen more as a secondary piece rather than the primary engine. That shift is what fans are reacting to the most, because it clashes directly with what was originally promised to the public. Supporters expected a team built around pace, vision, and creativity. Instead, they are seeing stretches of slow execution, predictable sets, and a more traditional half-court style that feels out of sync with Clark's natural game. And as the losses pile up in tight moments, the questions get louder. Is this system protecting structure, or is it limiting greatness? Is the team developing long-term discipline, or is it losing the very identity that made it exciting in the first place? What makes the situation even more intense is the expectation that surrounded this team from the start. This wasn't supposed to be a slow rebuild in the traditional sense. This was marketed as a new era, led by a once-in-a-generation guard who could instantly change the way the game is played. Now, that vision feels uncertain, because every time Clark pushes the pace, finds a rhythm in transition, or links up in pick-and-roll action, the Fever look alive. There is movement, flow, and purpose. But when the system slows things down, that energy fades just as quickly. And that contrast is impossible to ignore. At the center of it all remains one simple reality. This isn't about effort or talent. It's about fit, philosophy, and direction. And until that balance is found, the debate around Caitlin Clark, the Fever, and the system around her is not going away anytime soon. Pace is where everything starts to fall into place or fall apart. And that is exactly what's happening right now. At Iowa, Caitlin Clark didn't just play at a certain tempo. She controlled it like a conductor. She sped it up, slowed it down, and bent every possession to her will. It was controlled chaos, but it worked because she understood every second of it. She read defenses in real time, made lightning decisions, and turned broken moments into highlight plays. But now, the rhythm feels completely different. There was a moment fans pointed out, where even sideline reactions showed frustration, a brief interaction that raised eyebrows and quickly went viral. People started questioning everything happening on the floor, from body language to decision-making, as emotions around the team began to build louder than the actual gameplay. And that's where the conversation really shifts. Because right now, Indiana is not playing fast. In fact, they are playing some of the slowest basketball in the league. Every possession feels like it is dragging through resistance. The shot clock winds down, spacing tightens, and the natural flow that Clark thrives in seems to disappear completely. What should be an explosive offense turns into a half-court grind, possession after possession. And it's not just Clark feeling it. The entire team looks stuck in the same rhythm, unable to break free. When the pace drops, so does the threat level. Defenses no longer fear the transition game the same way they did earlier in the season. They are more set, more prepared, and more confident because they understand the tempo is no longer being pushed aggressively. And according to critics, that change is not accidental. The argument being made is simple. When Clark is allowed to control tempo, everything opens up. But when she is restricted or forced into a slower system, the offense loses its identity. It becomes predictable, easier to guard, and far less dangerous in transition. This is where the frustration builds. Fans point to the difference between what was promised and what is being seen now. A fast, modern offense built around pace and creativity has slowly turned into a structured, half-court system that doesn't fully match the strengths of its most dynamic player. And with that, questions about coaching decisions and system fit continue to grow louder. Some voices in the basketball world are even more direct, comparing elite athletes across sports and arguing that generational talent should not be forced into the background. In their view, stars like Clark are supposed to define systems, not adapt themselves out of impact. At the same time, analysts point out the results on the court: leads disappearing late in games, offensive droughts, and a noticeable drop in energy during critical stretches. The team that should be pushing opponents in transition is instead getting stuck in slow possessions that play into defensive setups. And while strategy is being defended as structure, critics see something different. They see a system that limits creativity instead of unlocking it. They see a team that looks hesitant in moments where urgency is needed most. And in that hesitation, games begin to slip away. The bigger concern now is consistency. Because when Clark pushes the pace, drives downhill, or initiates quick action in transition, the offense suddenly looks alive again. The spacing improves, ball movement speeds up, and defenders are forced into panic decisions. Those are the moments that remind everyone why she was drafted to change the franchise. But those moments are becoming less frequent. Instead, stretches of slowed tempo force her into off-ball rolls or delayed touches, making her more of a spectator within possessions rather than the initiator. That shift is what fans are reacting to the most, because it directly clashes with the expectations built before the season. There is also growing tension around the idea of identity. Some believe the team is trying to impose a traditional structure on a roster that was expected to evolve around speed and creativity. Others argue it is about discipline and long-term development. But the results are making it harder to ignore the disconnect. Because every time the pace drops, the impact drops with it. And every time the impact drops, the pressure rises. Critics warn that if this continues, it will not just affect wins and losses. It could affect morale, confidence, and the long-term direction of the franchise. When a system and a player this important are not aligned, the ripple effects go far beyond a single game. At the center of it all remains one undeniable fact: Caitlin Clark is at her best when the game moves fast, free, and fearless. And right now, that version of the game feels like it is being held back instead of fully unleashed. The question now is not whether she can adapt. The question is whether the system will ever fully match her pace before the gap becomes too wide to ignore. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dive sports analysis. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the pace is helping or hurting the team?